Today we're going to be making the connections between modern technology and Sumerian culture. But the way we're going to be doing this syncretism and the approach we're going to be taking is we're going to be using a lot of etymology and the breaking down of words. And along with that, we're going to be using the literature and mythology of these cultures that we're researching. In this case would be the Sumerians, Babylonians, and etc. So let's get right into my notes and everything I got for you. And we're going to start with the slides. So what I do is I make these slides for you guys. And as I read from my notes, you can look them over and it'll mesh together the words, right? I'm giving you the caption. So let's just understand something about the Sumerians right off the bat. A simple fact we need to understand. The Sumerians refer to their land as Kengir, Kengir, and that means the country of the noble lords, as seen in their inscriptions. So what I want you guys to do, because our research here with Golden Wings Media is a little bit different than everybody else's. The land that the Sumerians were referring to was a land that we call Meru. If you look at the word Sumeru, which is the name of the Sumerians' land, when we talk about the land of Sumeru, these people that we're calling Sumerians, they weren't referring to, their name doesn't refer to a geographic location on earth. I'm going to say that again because that's going to get me in trouble. Their name does not refer to a geographic location on earth, even though there may be a geographic location on earth called Sumeru, right? Cool. We ain't going to argue that. What I want to share with you is that the Sumerians, like a lot of ancestors during this golden age of advanced science and antiquity, right? Their name holds a secret to their spiritual land of origin. So they didn't name themselves after any geographic location. They named the geographic location after a spiritual location. And that location is in the summit point of the earth, or what we call the summit area, which is the root word of Samaria, right? And we're going to go deep into this. The Sumerians had the name Meru. Meru, there to encode this spiritual place where everything in creation originates from, okay? Okay, so when we talk about the Sumerians, the Tower of Babel story is very prevalent in their culture as well, and we're going to go over there in a minute. That's their version of it and compare it to the biblical account, just like the title says, right? So with the world religious syncretism, I made this slide to show you that this all-seeing eye represents a holy land that's the highest point in our cosmos. And what I have on the right here, I'm going to put my mouse here so you can see it. This picture on the right, this is Serer cosmology, Serer, Serer cosmology. And you see that our earth is the underworld here surrounding the mountain of Meru. But at the top of this mountain, there's a city, a holy city. And this is the base reality where we all originate, the seed reality. Okay, so the all-seeing eye represents this sort of place that's detached from the physical reality. And where the physical reality ends, this spiritual reality begins. And so the capstone is detached because this marks a spot in our cosmos where physicality ceased to exist as we know it. We change forms. The Tower of Babel being knocked down is a representation of how the torus field folds back inward at the sky vault. The god El, aka the all-seeing eye, is the deity responsible for the tower falling. The top of Mount Meru is being decapitated by El, the Reaper, the Ripper. The syncretism is due to the fact that what caps Meru is the energy of the pole arching up and outwards, expanding the sky canopy to the outer ring. This is also referred to as the stone that the builders rejected. So this is because this is the part of our universe that can't be built. Energy can't be created or destroyed, but the release of energy is the foundation of all things. Life is all about the release of energy. What I want you guys to consider before we go any further with my presentation here is that when we talk about the Sumerians, it's no different than us talking about the Lemurians. We're talking about a people that identified themselves based upon their spiritual origins at the North Pole. Check. When we say the Hyperboreans, we're talking about this advanced civilization at the North Pole. And we have to now consider that today, as I present to you so many syncretic evidences that will suggest that the Sumerians and their technology supersede the physical spectrum. And I will also point out that the Sumerians were just one group of many nations during their time that were aware of this very advanced knowledge about the earth. We're going to break down the etymology of the word Sumeria, Sumeru, okay? And we're going to do it piece by piece. So keeping in mind, guys, that the Sumerians, like I mentioned, could be an advanced civilization that are referencing the pole area in their name, you know, and many people theorize that there may be many advanced civilizations coexisting with us as some sort of overseers or guardians that influence the collective from afar for the sake of achieving the greater good. And that greater good is called the summum bonum, which we're going to talk about in a minute, summum bonum. And that's going to tie into the etymology of Sumeru. And the word sum is something we need to really pay attention to. We're going to do a lot of etymology here. There's going to be a lot of meticulous research. So a lot of these ancient civilizations, like I was mentioning, the Hyperboreans, the Nordic people, or the Norse people, right? The word Norse is a play on the word nurse or the word nourish. That which nourishes us come from the central point. That which nurses us back to life, which makes us immortal spirits, is at the Nordic area. And that the symbol of that area is a plus sign when we deal with medics, nursing and all that. We starting off in an introductory spot, and we're going to work our way up. We now want to flip over to the etymology screen. This is the root word of Sumeru, Sam. Sam, Sam, these are all synonymous, okay? So, again, if you go to etymology and put in the word Psalm, right, this is what you'll get. Quantity or amount, sum, a total, a collective. But this is the part that we really want to pay attention to. The word sama. Watch this. This is where it gets interesting. The top. Sum, the top. Summit, the chief place. So when we talk about Sumeru, we're saying the top, the pinnacle, and the word Eru is Heru, or a word dealing with aura. E-R-U is another way to say aura, like our human aura. This is the chief place. This is the energy that reside in the highest areas of creation because it expands from the pineal gland, which is the word pineal is the word pinnacle, which means the same thing, summit, pinnacle, pineal. What the Sumerians were referencing when they called themselves Eru, they were calling themselves gods from the Most High. And that wasn't talking about a person, it was talking about a place. The Most High was a place before it was a God. And this was the summit area of our universe, what I just showed you on the other slide, what we need to go back to. So they were referencing that city in the summit area as to say, that is our home. The earth is not our home because we are spirits. We are not bodies. The body is just an astronaut suit that the Sumerian looked at like he was inside of this body just to explore the earth realm. But he did not identify with the body. He identified with the spirit. These ancient cultures identified with the spiritual origins of themselves, guys. There was a point on the earth where you had a bunch of advanced civilizations that they didn't identify with physicality. They simply explored it. All right. So we're going to get deeper on this concept. I got so much stuff to go over that I want to just go ahead and move forward. We'll circle back to that. I know you guys would like me to expound more on that, and we will. So we want to go back to our etymology here. Now the word Sumeru is also the word Simeru. We're going to show you a lot of variations of this word, but we're going to go through them all one by one. So let's look up the etymology of SEM. So Sam, when we say words like Sam, we're going to do some advanced etymology. The word Sam, these are words, how we're able to say words like ensemble, assimilate, right? Facsimile. And this is important because this will show you, how we get words like simulation. We spell it with an I, but this is the etymology of that. What is it? It's not a prefix. I'm not sure what you would call it, but similitude. Look, this word Samsara, which is we're going to be talking about here in a minute. And basically just getting you familiar with the word Sam. What does it mean? Together. Did you know that the word Sam means together? So when you say samurai, which is a ninja warrior, that's the same. In a minute, I'm gonna show you how the word samurai relates to the word Sumeru. But I got to throw all of this etymology at you to begin with. So understand now that your mind is familiar that the word Sumeria is linked to the first three words, S-U-M, is very important because that ties into S-I-M, S-A-M, S-E-M in etymology, and you can see how all of it relates. Because at the North Pole, everything is being assimilated. There's an ensemble. The simulation is expanding from this summit area. You see what I'm saying? So at the North Pole, everything is together as one, but away from it, it's divided and we fall as different individuals. On a physical level, everything is divided by time and states of matter. On a spiritual level, there is no time, and the only state of matter is light. This right here unites everything on a spiritual level, divides everything on a physical level. So when we say the word Sumeria, we're talking about a people that were one. We're talking about a hive mind. Yes, let me show you what I mean. The Sumerians, like many other ancient civilizations, were so advanced that they had already achieved a singularity. The true form of a singularity is when man wakes up to the point where he activate his God ability. And when he does that, it should create heaven on earth if his intent is right. And in my research here, I'm saying that the Sumerians were part of a galactic federation on earth, a one world order of advanced spiritual tech kingdoms. And that this kingdom expanded off of the earth into the nethers and the astral realms. And there was no distinction between the dead and the living or the spirit and the physical. That is the purpose of the human being. We are alchemical beings that were designed. We are technology that was made to fuse the spiritual kingdom with the physical kingdom. So, but we can't see how they both are married together. We're not manifesting what we were built to do. There was a golden age on earth where the spiritual realm and physical realm, the lines were blurred because they were marrying the two, building a utopia. They're bringing the same thing back today, but they're only building a hell this time. It's all about intent. We're going to be able to have hive mind technology in the future where groups of people can share one mind. The ancestors, when they talk about being all on one mind and one accord, they're referencing a hive mind, meaning that these civilizations were so advanced and so in tune with each other and nature that they just became one via the technologies. Now, that don't mean that you can't be an individual either. It just means that they were so telekinetic and advanced, they can read minds. They can explore the dream realm together. You see, they can blend their worlds as one, like I said, as a hive mind. So Sam means together. Like, let me show you the etymology again. Samaria, Samaria, same thing. Because the sum of a math problem is when you put the two numbers together. What's the sum of 2 plus 2? 4. How did you get it? You put them what? Together, like the words say. Sum. But I got to show y'all the etymology so that later you won't think I'm reaching. So I'm working my way up from the bottom to the top. All right. So when we say some area, some aru, we're saying the together area. When you say Samaria, you're basically saying two words. The summit area, the highest peak. There's an area on this earth, and that area is the sum of all of physicality. We're going to go deep into this. The Sumerians named themselves after the North Pole, just like the Lemurians did, just like the Hyperboreans did. Everybody is adopting a name that will refer to this origin point where we all come from. So you had a group of people that said, we're going to call ourselves the Sumerians, dealing with the Sum area. So when you type in the etymology for Meru, this is what it's going to give you. Mir. Now, when we say the word mir, you got to understand, let's read the etymology. A mir is a pool, a small lake or a pond. Why is that important? Well, this area that they call a summit area, it's its own pool. It's its own pool. In other words, right, I've shown you guys this image here quite often. Let me show you. A mirror is a small pool, not a big pool. Why? Because the smallest pool is Mir or Meru. I want you to look at that. The highest peak in our universe is this mountain, the Sum area, Sumerians. This is where they're from. They're not from Earth. None of us are from earth. We are all fallen angels from the Sum area. Again, the Sumerian was naming themselves after an area that is the sum or totality of all things. It's at the highest point up here. So again, let's bounce back here. What we have is the word Meru is a play on this woman called Mary who gave birth, and she is a form of the ancient mother goddess for the old Christian church. Mary is personifying a black hole, a womb in the middle of our earth. And that womb is called Meru. So when we say Merry Christmas, the word Mary is dealing with Meru, right? And Christmas is a mass, a Christ mass, a mass of people at the crease of the earth. And this is what we can show you for that. A crease mass. The North Pole is a split, it's a crease. And that splits through the physical spectrum of reality with what? A spiritual scepter. And then that is the great hall of Osiris. That is what we see all of this opening here. And look, there's a mass there, the dead. Everybody we thought died, they're waiting for us right here at the crease. This is the crease mass. And why do we say Mary? Because that refers to the location of it all, which is at Meru, at the middle of it. But the word Mary or Meru is the word mirror. And a mirror is a pool, a small lake, a pond, which is exactly what we're referencing here. The smallest lake in our netters or our multiverse would be Mir or Meru. Every other one would be bigger than that. So a small one, right? It's specific. A small lake or pond. If you look at Plato Atlantis, the Mir would be in the middle. The Mir or the Meru would be this. If you look for the small lake or a pond, the only one would be at the top, because everything else would be what? A river, a lazy river. A lazy river going round and round, a lazy river. That is not a pool or a pond. Everything outside of the center would be a river, and the only mirror is gonna be right here, Meru. Mirror, which is another way of saying mirror. A small pool, a small lake right there. So if you want, we get the point on that. Let's move on with the etymology. So again, Marie, which is, I told you, Mary, the Virgin Mary. Mary was able to give birth without a man going up in her because she don't represent a physical human. What she represents is a location where physicality and spirituality merge. What is the root word of merge? M-E-R-E-M-E-R, mir, meru, mirror, merge, merge. All things merge together and become one at Meru. So all of this stuff makes sense now. How Mary is basically another form of Yemeya, the Dogon mother goddess Amma. She gives birth to the universe out of nowhere. All of these ancient goddesses, they just gave birth to the universe and nothing impregnated them. They had a virgin birth, and the universe was conceived out of that birth. And you can read about these origin stories in the pre-dynastic times, a lot of them. And the Virgin Mary was just a plagiarized form of these ancient goddesses. Instead of her giving birth to the earth, right? At one point, we had these goddesses giving birth to the universe or the earth. And then when they started personifying the earth as Geb or the earth god, then they had to personify the womb that gave birth to the earth god as a person too. So we had a cosmic mother that just birthed out the universe out of her womb. That was the original story. Then it became Mary giving birth to Jesus, this virgin birth, this immaculate conception. Jesus were referred to as a light in the sky, or the Star of David of Bethlehem. That is the Big Bang expansion. And we're going to go into that as well. So the darkness represent Mary, the womb, and the light was Christ. Okay? Okay? So Christ told you, I am the light. Because, and that light was birthed from the darkness, which is Meru, which is what? A black hole at the middle of our universe. A black hole. And inside of that black hole is a portal into the land of the gods, or what the Roman people call Olympia. This black hole is what they're referring to as Meru. This is how we resurface in this pole area. When we talk about the pole area, we're talking about the pool area. This is what baptism was all about, coming up from the waters and being born again in this area up here. So when our soul was conceived in the highest heavens, in order for us to exist in the highest heavens, we had to be cleansed. So the original baptism is you being a fallen angel, and they putting you down beneath the netters in these underworlds and raising you back up again to the highest point, to your original home at Meru. Our entire life process and incarnation process is a big baptism process. A big baptism process. Let me show you what I mean here. We come from this world at the top, this mountain up here, right? The highest peak. This is where we're from. And we were born down here into the lowest worlds down here, right? Into the lazy rivers the moment we was conceived up here. And I'm going to show you why in a minute. We finna go over all of that. Remember what I said. We were baptized. The babies that's born in this summit area, they just can't start their life as gods right off the bat. They got to activate their God power by going down into the earth and slaying their demons. Their demons is their damn mans. Those are your netters, your chakra layers, your false egos. There's 7 of them. The Hindus said we got 7 incarnations. You're battling yourself. Demon is the root word of demonstrate. Each of these 7 incarnations are like 7 demonstrations that we're running, or simulations. And they're supposed to help us achieve what's called the summum bonum, or greater good. When we say summum bonum, that turns into the sum of all of your incarnations into one being. And that's what the Most High, Almighty, glorified version of the self is. So the pole area is the pool area. The pool area. This is the part of the earth that pulls us. It is a pool and it is a pole. You see these words here, how they all relate etymologically. This worship of this black stone is the worship of, this is the what they're calling the Virgin Mary. All right, this box, when we tell a woman, give me that box, what are we talking about? That's the womb, the original womb of creation. But now they got us personified it in a masculine way in the form of these gods. The name Allah is the name Hall, Hala. And the reason it's Hall and Hala is because we're on top of a mountain chanting our body is the chant of the soul. So like we say we live in an ecosystem, the original self is at the highest peak saying, hey, And that is every echo from that mountain is a chakra layer. Sanchez, Sanchez, Sanchez. The echoes get wider, but they get lower, lower, lower. So that's what's happening on a cosmic level. The most pronounced echo is the original copy that's coming directly from the voice of the speaker on top of the mountain. So when we see the all-seeing eye at the top of that mountain, that all-seeing eye, right, that you see at the top of the pyramid, that represents the source self that's at the North Pole. And the Olmec were even saying the same thing. Look at this. The Olmec was personifying the summit area. When they said Jesus was on top of a mountain with his arms open, just like Jack in the Box. Look at this Jack in the Box. That's Jesus on Mount Calvary with his arms open. But I'm finna tie all of this together and show you how this Babel story is just the story of you and me and our whole life. This Olmec structure that you see, that is a ziggurat, right? And it's capped with a bust of whoever this god was right here. But that is no different than stuff like this. Remember, I told you when you say Sumeru, you're saying the summit point where Horus is. This is called the Saqqara bird. And that Saqqara bird is the Holy Ghost for the Christians. But when you see the bird erecting from the coming up out the arch, is another form of Noah and all of that in the arch. But the same thing about Jack in the Box and all that right here. We syncing it all together. You see it? What is Samaria? Samaria ain't a physical place. When we look at all these ziggurats, they don't have a crown at the top of them. They have a ball at the top. I'm going to show it to you now. You see that? That is the star at the top of your Christmas tree. What is that star? That star is the ball point on the top of an antenna, people. Let me show you. Now check this out. We celebrate Christmas every December 25th. But did you know that your Christmas tree is an uncapped Babel Tower? You don't cap that tree till you put the star on the top. And that star ain't made out of what the tree is made out of. So the brightest star on a tree is at the top. That's Polaris. This is Tartarian architecture over here. And we're comparing it to Sumerian Ziggurats. And I have another ziggurat here from Asia. I'm showing you that the Ziggurats are not exclusive to the Sumerians so that I can prove my point earlier that Sumerian culture is not really universal to them. Okay? So basically, you got ziggurats all over the world, and what we'll do, we'll take a time and we'll look at a few of them. We want some eye candy, right? You got them all over the world just because if you make a claim, you want to, if you can show it, show it. You know, this is a pay-per-view event, baby. So boom, we got these things all over the world, but what was their purpose? What was their reverence? Okay? That's what I'm going to go into now. Everybody try to act like there were different cultures doing different things. But what I'm showing you, right, is that the Sumerian culture was not exclusive to Sumerians. And this means that the Sumerians were just one segment of an ancient world order or some sort of universal confederation of cults that shared the same ideology during their time. And whatever that ideology was, it was the most advanced ideology, and nothing else have been able to rival it. We're just now trying to create a one world order today, right? But there was a one world order that existed during the time of the Sumerians, and this is why we can't say, well, this people rule or that kingdom rule. The Sumerians existed during a time where if everyone on earth was on a higher vibration and more advanced level, this is a stolen legacy and deleted part of human history, a golden age of technology and green spiritual technology, may I add. And the symbols of these grand cultures are being used today for decorations and holidays and surface level stuff that means nothing what they meant in antiquity. When we wrap the lights around the tree, let's take a look at this. Is called Prambanan right here. We're going to get into all this. This particular ziggurat here, you got the people walking all around it like the Christmas tree. They are the light, fam. You are a fallen star that is on a stairway to heaven back up to your highest point. We are the ornaments on the tree. We are the light. All of these people that you see on top of this ziggurat right here, isn't it beautiful? But let me show you what they're symbolizing. We don't open our eyes. See, the people that created that ziggurat, they know that it is a big old Christmas tree. They're the Christ mass. And when we say, hey, we need to decorate this tree with some ornaments wrapped around it, check it out. Each human that you see around this tree is an ornament that's lit. If you was in a helicopter looking through some sort of advanced technology that will let you see auric fields, this thing will be lit up like a Christmas tree, because every single human giving off a heat vibration and an auric light that we can't see in this spectrum. If you can see what this thing look like when everybody go to visiting it, it look just like a Christmas tree that's lit up with beautiful ornaments. We are not looking at the spiritual realm, so we don't see the rituals that we're partaking in. So on a spiritual level, every single human that you see, they are a big ball of light or ornament on the tree, wrapping around it like a Christmas tree. Now, what's at the top of all these things? That's Mount Meru, the highest peak. Watch this. Just like my hand, excuse me, the highest peak is the middle finger. The middle finger, the highest peak. They call it shooting a birdie. Why? That's the Saqqara bird. That's the bird that landed on top of the cross, shooting the birdie. The bird lands on the highest peak. You see that this look just like my hand on it. This is what a song wave look like. It fades in right here, then it works its way up to its highest peak, and when they get there, they start winding it down, breaking the song down to fade it out. All of these letters are a song. See how my hand shape is coded into everything. You see that shape? The highest peak is the one that beams you out of this whole simulation, right? So that is an antenna, people. These churches and all of that, they were literally places, they were like launch pads for us to go in and lead the earth. They were places that we went to access the kingdom of heavens, all of the kingdoms of heaven. What do you mean, Brother Sanchez? The antenna at the top of the church would have beamed your consciousness out of your mind. And praying in the church, a bunch of people with their eyes closed, meditating, we would go inside of these churches, and the building itself is like a huge launch pad to shoot your consciousness out into the netters. All right? And it basically the rapture, we went into these temples for out-of-body experiences. And that's what they say that the UFO is going to give us today. Now watch this though. Check this out. Here is your UFO concept. And the God over there that you're looking at, he's inside of a mosque getting beamed up out of there. When we used to visit these temples, it was to get beamed up to lead the earth, not to just listen to Pastor Porkchop say a bunch of nothing. We read about prophets that left the earth out of their body on the other dimension to visit the different neters of heavens. We would go inside of these temples for an out-of-body experience. We built them. They are big machines to launch you out of your body. That's what the antenna at the top was. Instead of building one single dome Neuralink to go on your head with an antenna to beam just your personal consciousness out of you, the dome building itself was a big old Neuralink. And everybody that walk inside of it, you got the little antenna, and you in that building, you got on the Neuralink. And everybody would, have an out-of-body experience. These temples and churches were like launch pads for spiritual beings to travel to netters. You only gonna get this kind of stuff with Bro Sanchez and Golden Wings Media. This is what I came to do, baby. Blow you away with the research. Let's do a tech check, and I'm going to continue to blow you away some more. I know you don't want me checking it. As I do more of these, I won't have to check myself so much. But the antenna, oh yeah, we good to go. Let's continue. You getting 6 hours of nothing but dope research and revelations. If you chose to spend this Saturday with your boy, you in the right place if you like enlightenment. So check this out, right? Why do these domes resemble a UFO ship? Watch, I'm gonna blow you away. Why do we call it a mosque? And why do we call that insect a mosquito? See, the antenna is why we call it a mosque. Because listen, the mosquito got a little bitty antenna little thing that he sucked the blood with. He's a parasite. And these religious leaders are sucking your energy in that church, in that mosque. They're being mosquitoes. If you look at his little antenna in the front, he's receiving your blood. You see there? And now, why we call it a mosque, right? It's because that antenna at the top of the mosque would have been receiving your soul. It's a siphoning tool. Okay? Let me show it to you. Let's show it to you. Look at there. You see the antenna at the top of this dome is how you would have left, got beamed up out of there. You see, you like this gentleman showing you here. This is what we're seeing right here is them not want to tell us how these buildings was used. These temples and sanctuaries were ancient machines. These were spiritual devices, not just beautiful, pretty buildings. This was the original UFO ship that took you to other worlds. But how did it do it? It abducted you or raptured you out of your body. Because to leave the world, you got to leave your body. And that's what this God is showing you. Technology that these advanced kingdoms was using back in the day to leave the earth. Oh, I'm not finished yet. You're going to get your money's worth dealing with me. You know, when I give you this stuff for free, that I give you your money's worth. So imagine when you pay money, but you know I'm going to keep going in, and we're going to be here for a good while. So buckle up, get your popcorn, relax. You in the right place. I'm going to be redundant too, because I want to give you your money's worth. I'd rather say too much than say too little. So now let's revisit some of the concepts since we got this slide up, right? Let's go ahead and kind of clear off a little bit. We don't want things to get too cluttered, okay? Now, let's talk about this summit area, because the word summit is also the word submit. At this place is where we submit the soul, like what Jesus did on Calvary and give up the ghost. When you give up the ghost, that is when you're beamed out of here. Our earth, right, is a big old mosque. And it's sucking you, it's extracting you every day. You're getting closer to death. This is an extraction process. So just like I just taught you how they use these mosques, how they use these temples to lead the earth, right? And that's why it looked like a UFO ship. They learned how to build this because they looked at the earth that they live in. It's just a replica of our entire earth terrarium, okay? Like I showed you here. And the beam point is right in the middle at the summit area. So now let's read about that, because I want to share some eye candy with you while I read. This is from, the yellow brick road. Look at what they showing you with the yellow brick road. They rubbing it in your face. The yellow brick road is the mosque. And that yellow brick road is what leads you into the higher kingdom of Asgard, Olympia, into the land of the gods, which is what the Sumerians named themselves after. The Sumerians said that their land was called Kinger, and that means the land of the lords, the noble lords. That is their form of Olympia, or this heavenly realm. And I'll show you, it just dawned on me that there's another culture that I can reference for this too. It's called Asgard, and the word Asgard is Oz, like the Wizard of Oz. We're gonna get deep into this. This city that's above the earth, you got to beam yourself through the tree trunk, right? It's the beanstalk. That we take this beanstalk to the home of the noble lords of the Aesir. That's us. You have an empty throne up there waiting on you, man. You're gonna inherit a spiritual kingdom, man. And I'm gonna give you so much motivation and knowledge today that people who didn't get a ticket, they gonna regret it, yo. Now check this out. When we get to this point on the dome, we leave our body and our consciousness is beamed through this scepter. This is what they call the Jedi pillar. Right there. Right there. That's the lightsaber that beams you out. So they say that the flattest part of the earth is at the top. And I'm like, why? Because here it is right here. You see, for that to attach, you got to flatten out the top. But that's why the pyramid don't have a capstone. It's a flattened top. It's more of a mastaba or a mesa. And this is from Wizard of Oz map, like I told you, with Emerald City. Emerald City is in the middle. That's the highest point. So I put the emerald up there to show you why. And we're going to go deep into all of this. I'm going to throw all of this at you, and we're going to go back over it and be redundant. That's why the stream is going to be long. So now let me go to my notes. Before we do that, we are the star at the top of the tree, family. You see Jet Li right there in that movie? He's what's capping his mastaba. The word mastaba got the word master on it. When you become a master, you become the star at the top of your own tree. That tree is what you made with your history of incarnations. Okay? You see, you got to rise up to the highest version of the self. And that's what the Olmec was trying to teach us with this architecture that they turned into the Jack-in-the-Box. The ancestors, one of the first names of the ancient god was Baal. And that Olmec head is the god Baal. Look, at the top of this tree is a ball. And that ball is skeeting light all around it like a disco ball. And that looks like a star. In other words, this is what the Egyptians said. They call it Aten. We talk about this. Polaris is a spherical light, but the rays is going from a 360. The rays of light is just shooting out all around it like a disco ball. That's how we get the Big Bang explosion artwork. So let me go ahead and show you some of that, so I don't just throw a bunch of information at you and not show you what I mean. The word beacon is the word began. Did I mess you up with that? I told you some of you already saw this. But when I show you this, this is Aten. This is the Big Bang, the expansion of a holographic simulation, right? An expansion of light. And that's what another way of saying a release of energy. So you got this ball, and each ray of light, right, is another you in another universe beneath the source of that light. So all of these rays of light that's coming from the source will wrap around and make a ball. Let me show you what it'll look like while we wrap the lights on the Christmas tree the way that we do. Look at this. You see this? This spherical auric field is made out of the expansion of light at the top, or the crown right here. And when all of those light rays expand outward, like I told you, like a camera flash, then they make a torus field like this with all those rays of light. And this is how we wrap the lights on a Christmas tree. This is your barber pole. Look at it. Ain't I'm doing a good job? You can't even hate, man. You know, I got to be cocky and egotistical on this one, buddy. I didn't think that this presentation was going to be this far. And I was worried. But check it out. The light is coming from the ball at the top. And as it expands, like I showed you a minute ago, it get caught in the vortex. It don't just be still. This is what your pineal gland is doing. This is what your crown chakra is. It's the highest point, and it's the source of the light that's creating the whole simulation around you and projecting your avatar in it. And this is the science of how it happens right here, guys. Right here with Golden Wings Media. We decode the secrets of the ancestors, and we do it meticulously. We do the deep research nobody else want to do. Yeah, look at that. And see, what we're looking at here is what's happening at the top right here. All that light is expanding outward, but then it gets sucked back down and around, and it just keeps recreating itself in this matrix. All right, so right here, you will never look at a Christmas tree the same after this presentation, I guarantee you. You'll never look at a Christmas tree the same. This light at the top represents the expansion of rays coming out of the crown, and then you get wrapped around the tree. So there's a lot of knowledge right here in this symbolism. Now let's talk about this place called the Sum area, which is what the Sumerians named themselves after, all right? This summit area, this place called Meru, right? This is the place where the totality of all actions are summed up. This is a place where our collective experiences are summed up. Reality is being compressed like a zip file. So if you want to understand how a zip file works, you could compare a zip file to the Tower of Babel, or an archive file. It is an archive file format, or archive. Remember, the hive mind. When you say archives, those are the Akashic records. Every version of the self will sync up and make a hive mind, and that's why I'm showing you Jet Li, the one. When you rise to this higher version of yourself, listen, it's gonna be after you incarnated through multiple lifetimes. You're gonna take the experience of all of those multiple lifetimes and incarnations and sum them up into one being. And you're gonna be a bad mamba jamba when that happen. And can't nothing stop that. That's gonna happen. You're gonna become a god, a most high god. See, this was blasphemy because they know it's the truth. They don't kill you for telling a lie. See, in the movie Jet Li the One, he basically was summing up all the different versions of himself into one version. And the Olmecs are showing us this same concept. When that version of you resurrects, That's going to be your God self that lives in this kingdom with the gods in Olympia. Okay? And they showed you this with Captain Planet as well. Yeah, you remember? Let me go back and show you something to remind you of something when we were children. Remember this? All of the Planeteers are just the different avatars of Captain Planet. And when all of his different chakra layers or false egos or other versions of the self come together as one, they do it in the sky and they form Captain Planet, this captain. And that's like Christ is showing you here. And see, they turn all of this. See, the original version is right here, which is the Great Mother holding the cosmos on the wheel, the cosmic wheel. And that is what the Dogon God is giving birth to the egg, which is the universe. And here is a Tibetan form of that same mythology. And they turned it into Christ, which is why I made this for you. And you can see when you go inside the church, like I said, you stand up under that thing and it will rapture you. This is the original UFO ship and being born again. Every sperm cell that your daddy shot out was born in a different version of your mama in a different netta. None of them was wasted. They lied to you. Let's move forward. So all of that energy climaxes to a grand version of the self at the top. You get beamed up out of the physical spectrum. And that's why you got the antenna, the beam point at the top of this thing, right? And at that point, you leave the earth and you exist in a higher kingdom, as like how Jet Li doing here. This is when he left the earth. This ain't taking place on earth. This is taking place in like the last universe or future set. Like you see, when we get to this highest point, the fight don't stop. A war broke out in the heavens, just like the Bible told you. So what am I telling you? When we get back home, we gonna find out that the fight don't stop. Now the war of Armageddon. Where is the place called Megiddo, Armageddon? It's Meru, it's the same place. This battle that's taking place on earth is only taking place because it's taking place in Meru. Meru is a mirror of what's happening as above, so below. So when we win the war on the earth, we're gonna come to win it up here in the heavens and reclaim our throne. Hit me, Becky. You know I'm gonna give my people every penny worth of their money with me. And I got more hours of nothing but daggers and research for you. Don't you go nowhere. Turn me up in your house and pass the blunts around. So check this out, right? I'm finna really blow you away with this next sacred geometrical observation. Let's pull up what I was saying about what's happening at Mount Meru. Let me cut my camera on. I don't think you hear me. Watch this. All of your life experiences in each incarnation will be turned into a file. So each time you incarnate, that's a file. That's a bunch of files. But all of these files are called Akashic records. And instead of you giving God a bunch of different papers, what's happening at Meru is they're taking all of these files and balling them up into one compressed file. And they're gonna hand one file to God. I'm saying handing a file to God and all of that. I'm speaking mythologically. You know, you get what I'm saying. I'm just trying to paint a picture to you how this is gonna be summed up, why they call it Sumeru, the summit area. Let's show you something with sacred geometry like I always do to bring this on home. Watch this. We see this all the time. This is the WinRAR logo. You see it? If you deal with computers, you see it. Now watch this, right? Something that we don't think about is that this is the Babel Tower. Okay? Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm not reaching here, buddy. I'm not reaching here, man. When they talk about the Akashic records, look at this. Here go the Pharaoh. This is Winrar. What is called Winrar? This, you could take a bunch of, bro, you could take so much data and you could compress it into one of these files, and it'll be, man, you could take 100 doggone music albums and put them into one of these and be able to send 100 albums to somebody. Because these things right here, they compress files so small, and that's the source of the Big Bang. They say that our universe started from a dense, small, compressed seed of light that expanded. That's when they opened up the Winrar file. That's when they unbuckled this thing and all hell broke loose. It's like opening up and unpacking that Winrar file. It's one single file, but it's got 100 albums in it. You open that thing up, and now it's time to jam out. That's life. But this entire Winrar logo, right there, it shows you are a compressed file. So what's happening at Meru is what's happening in this Winrar situation. All of your experiences, that's a lot of data. It's getting compressed into one little tiny file at the top of the universe. And that is the book of life. That is all of that, you will be written in your own Lamb's book of life. Each one of us, what's at Meru is like a library. Akashic records, a spiritual library. You saw it in the movie Interstellar, right? It's a tesseract, what they showed. But it's the kind of library that's housing these Akashic records, ain't housing them as individual records. At Meru, every single life experience that you had will be in your zip file or and so you will exist as this small, compressed, dense being with all of the knowledge of all your incarnations in your one self. In other words, this is what the Indian totem pole is. It's the Babel Tower. The Pharaoh is basically telling you, I am a compressed Winrar file with all of my experiences as one. That's what he's telling you. I know I'm blowing you away. What you thought I was going to do, you supporting the research, I'm going to give you some good stuff. We're going to have an after show, an after party tomorrow on Bro Sanchez TV, where I'm going to see what you guys think about it. So we got these totems throughout Mesoamerica that'll show you the different layers of the self and the different faces on each layer. All the way up to the top, you'll have a sacred bird at the top. We're going to talk about that in a minute. That's the bird that landed on the cross. That is called a Saqqara bird. I want to take the time and ask that if you follow this channel and you appreciate the work that we do, we cannot do it without your support. And one way you can support us is by becoming a member of this channel. And with your channel membership, you will be able to access perks like members only chat room, members only live streams, members first content, and so much more. Thank you so much in advance for becoming a member of this channel. All right, so again, though, just to summarize, you like that, right? Sumeru. Yeah, matter of fact, let's go to the whiteboard because I got so much to show you. And none of it is a reach. The son of Mary is the sum of Meru. They just play on words. Watch it. When you are summoned, they call it a summoning. In our last incarnation in the physical creation, all of our physical incarnations, right? Every life we had, every experience, when we get to this highest peak And this grand version of the self is gonna be summarized. It's gonna be a summary of everything you did in totality throughout all of your incarnations. At Sumeru, it's a summary. And for you to get there, you have to be summoned. Like you summoned to court. So this heavenly city that I'm telling you about, where the gods is at, is like a courtroom. And we are all the ones being summoned through the incarnations. And when we reach there, we will have the summary will take place of all your actions, right? And watch this. A lot of people talk about the Namos, but the word Namos is just the word summon. The Namos are the summoned ones. These are the fallen angels that must be called back home or summoned. And when they reach this place that we're calling home or Asgard, all of their incarnations through these ethers will be summed up. All right? Oh yeah, we still got a lot more to go. You're in the right place. So let's talk about this summit area where we submit ourselves, right? Let's talk about this area. And before we do so, I want to go back to this particular slide so you can see the area that we're talking about. All right, so, and we're talking about this area right here, okay? So check this out. If you see my mouse pointer, we're talking about this area what I showed in the Yggdrasil Tree of Life, our true home or base reality. Creation is beneath that. And we're going to go deep into this. But check this out. I got to go back to my notes. Sumeria, just to summarize all of this, is the culmination of all of our experiences is compacted, compressed into a small, dense file. Stop right there. What are you saying, Sanchez? That's what they're calling the seed of the Big Bang. If you pull up the Big Bang right now, they'll tell you our entire hollow universe come from a little bitty ball of light. That's just probably the size of a basketball. So the entire universe around us was born from something the size of like a small ball. And this was their god. They call it Baal. One of the first names of God, Baal. All things come from what? The ball of light that we're calling Polaris. And they were dealing with projection, saying that the universe is an expanse of holographic light, but the source of that light is so small. But our universe is this big, overgrown, hollow thing. Like if you look at creation, it's big, right? Big and bulky, but it comes from this one compressed thing. So in computer terms, you can take a little CD and load it in your computer and explore a whole world compacted into that disk. Same technology is being used to create the simulation we're in. A lot of the symbolism that we use in technology, we don't see the connection in ancient symbolism. So all of our experiences will be wrapped up and summed up into some sort of a WinRAR zip file at the North Pole. And basically the Pharaoh was showing us this is how he looked at the North Pole. This is spiritual symbolism saying, when I'm my greater or highest version, just like we see by him, here's another guy leaving the simulation and exiting up outside of the tower. And so the Pharaoh's saying at that point, when you're in the middle of this thing, at the North Pole or the summit area, you will exist as a culmination of every incarnation you ever had. And he just got himself as a totem pole, and each layer represent a lifetime or incarnation. See, we had to walk up the stairway to heaven, and we started on the bottom floor. And each incarnation, boom, we're going closer to home. So, but when we get home, we're gonna remember all of our previous lifetimes. So, and that's because you're gonna exist as some sort of like zip file. In a lot of these movies, they'll show you like a talking book. In a lot of these movies, they'll have a dang Stevie Wonder talking book. This little guy, the book that can talk. That's basically what the Pharaoh's showing you. All of the Akashic records summarized into one file. You will be some sort of God-like being if that happened. So we're gonna talk more about the beanstalk, which is really the beanstalk, as you can see here, when we start tying this into the Jedi pillar and the lightsaber, but we ain't ready for that yet. Let's go back and get it, baby. So like I was saying, the culmination of all our experiences is compacted and compressed into a small, dense file at Sumeria. And Sumeria is represented by this ball right here. And that is the same ball that I've been showing you on all of my collages here. Let me go ahead and show you that again. That ball that's at the top of it all, right there. You see that? That ball right there. Let's go here. That ball at the top is the tip of the antenna. Once you get to that ball, it skeets you out of the earth like a hose pipe. If you think of how an antenna works, when the signal get to the top of that ball, it's emitted out as a signal, as like a sine wave. And that's what the soul is. So you are a sine wave that's doing this in reverse. All of these little fragments that you see, these are your many avatars. Look at this, what they call in the Big Bang. All of these little specks of light, those are different sperm cells going back to the egg, man. I keep telling you, this is a continuum. Remember, this is the Big Bang. So all of the different versions of you that were born in all these different universes are all returning home right now. And when they all get there, it's gonna be a Christ mass, a gathering of the self. It's like what's happening with Jet Li. Why I keep showing you the Jet Li. I put Jet Li on my collages here, because all of the different versions of himself met up at that one spot. And you can see that with the story of Krishna and all of these different beings. That Krishna is something called the avatars of Vishnu, where all of his avatars, when they come together, they manifest the ultimate form of Vishnu, which is where we get the Captain Planet concept from, which is all of the light they shoot from their rings. Don't you know the ring is Saturn? Look, the ring that they wearing is Saturn. When they're shooting, when the Planeteers are shooting the light from the ring, they're releasing that avatar from Saturn. And it's many of these Saturn satellites. Saturn is satellite. It's 7 of them, which is each one is a different Greek god that's got our soul. And when they releases all 7 of our souls from this, see, your soul being released from Saturn is what the Planeteer is shooting the light from the ring. What is the ring? That's the lazy river that you was born into. The ancestors saw this realm as a realm of slowness, death, laziness, sloth, and that the highest experiences was above, or what we call in heaven. So watch this. Check this out. So let's go here. I'm getting a little confused here. Let me slow down. So and by the way, it's time for another tech check. There's a different Greek god that's got our soul. Thank you. And that also reminded me of what I was going to say. So that was meant to be. So when the Planeteers are releasing the light from the rings, there's basically a different avatar in every world that's got to be released. And it's going to be this unity or summary where all of them, those are like files. And each file is going to the same location because it's being placed inside of an archive file. That's why the Bible say you got to be saved, you got to be written inside of the Lamb's book of life. And that is this. So this Babel Tower concept, it's a continuum. There's no outside of the simulation. There's just a base reality that's outside of creation that's running the original simulation. And in that simulation, everything is going right. It's heaven. It's heaven. It's a kind of world you would never want to leave, because that's the kind of world they intended when they created this beautiful place. But in order for you to experience it as a heavenly creature, you got to be manifested through the many hells. The heavenly part of you be just normal if we didn't go through hell. We can only know heaven if we experience hell, because this is the law of polarity. If you was just born in heaven, it wouldn't be heavenly to you. It'll just be normal, like an angel. An angel ain't excited about heaven, but a human that's been through hell, when they get to heaven and up there, they gonna be shouting, right? So that's kind of the same concept here. Somebody born in the hood, when they get rich, they appreciate it more than just some rich kid who was born into the riches. So that's why we just can't be born into the kingdom. We got to show ourselves worthy through this process of incarnations through the netters. This is a filtering process. It's very intelligent. Whatever the overseers are, I love them. I don't have no hate toward nothing. Everything that's happening is by grand design. Trust me. Because it's just you. You're your own devil or God in this thing. Now, at this point, guys, remember that if you're not understanding all of the collages, don't worry, because I'm going to have a segment of the show where we just focus on nothing but the collages. We ain't leaving no stone unturned. We got to move forward with the notes. So again, I'm going to keep repeating myself. I told you I'm going to be repetitive. Let's talk about what's happening at the summit area, Sumeru. Okay? But before we do that, I made a mistake and I closed something that I really won't open. There we go. Let's keep that open. Now, let's read. Sumeru is summary, right? The totality of all experiences and occurrences that ever existed throughout all times and all locations, now existing at the same time and same location. People, you really need to write that down. That's what's happening at the North Pole. This would be a summary or the summation of all things, no matter if those things existed in different places and different times as different forms of matter. This is the place where all things become pure energy and they manifest as the source of all matter, which is light. Therefore, they cannot be separated by time or the elements. There are no different elements or different states of matter in Meru. only a unified collective that exists as the one ultimate state of matter, which is light. All elements and states of matter in the universe share the same form when examined on a micro scale. This means that the macro equals the holograph and a layering technology, people. The macroverse is what foundates the entire universe. The microverse, I mean. So in other words, the smallest scale is what foundates the largest items in our universe. What is that telling us? You see this emerald code on the screen? Let's go back to the picture of the Big Bang while you look at that emerald. You see what that emerald showing you? Now watch this. That's what it's showing you. The emerald code is a continuum of energy, which is you and me incarnating with better and more heavenly experiences. Ain't that awesome? So check this out, right? Just like this little bitty ball right here is smaller than the big old universe that's around it, it's what's foundating the universe. This little ball is what's foundating the universe. So what are we saying? On a universal dimension, the smallest things lay the foundation. The bigger things are like hollow gas giants. They ain't really got sustenance. Condensation, compression is the key to knowing what God is. God ain't the biggest thing in the universe. God is the smallest beacon of energy that exists, but it's the strongest. Ain't that something? So this is why science is evolving to start to create on a nano scale. And you would think that if bigger is better, things will be getting bigger. But no, as science get more and more advanced, things are shrinking because why? We are basically heading back to the point of the Big Bang. And as time moves and we head back home, it gets smaller and smaller as we converge to a point. Things got to be less bulkier because it's compression time. We're condensing reality, people. Are you hearing me? This is a very powerful presentation. I put a lot into it. And I thought that it would be so deep that it may go over people's head. But I think you guys feeling me. So check this out. Everything that exists around this little ball represents this huge holographic lie, the simulacrum. And the truth is the source point for it and the foundation of all that. When they say that David defeated this big giant called Goliath, they're telling you what I'm telling you, that the greatest version of yourself is not this big old egotistical giant that exists in these huge inflated simulations. The greatest version of you is that little bitty David at the middle, at your source-based reality. The smallest version of yourself. The fairies rule the universe. The spiritual realm is microscopic, which is why when we zoom in, nothing makes sense because science don't try to understand things of spiritual matter. So when we zoom into our spectrum, right, we don't see how it's founded by this nano dimension. Or they do see it, but they playing dumb. So the macro form of reality is the holographic layering technology that is layered on top of this little bitty ball. That's the macroverse. The microverse is when we enter this ball. That's what we call in the base reality. Okay? So to reach there, you have to implode. But to leave that point, we had to explode or exodus from Eden. All right? Now, what's going on now is an implosion back home. So this whole thing is breathing in and out. And as it breathes out, we get expelled from the garden. As it breathes in, we return home. And if you study magnetism, you will see this is what happens in the torus field, just like what's happening at the ocean shore, the water coming in and out, in and out. The breath, the breathing. Okay, so check this out. So only 1% of the universe is physical. Science say that. And what are they telling you? They're telling you it's basically hollow. Now the seed of reality is this little ball, and it represents everything you see in the holographic universe, that whole 99%, which is nothing. Excuse me. Think about that, y'all. Our entire universe, every physical thing that exists in the universe only makes up 1% of the matter. Where is this other 99% that they can't account for? The unseen world. So we can only explore 1% of creation with physics, because it only deal with the physicality. What they call in dark matter, right? This other dense form of matter that is foundating all the other forms, that's the 99% unaccounted for. We can't find that because we're not going inside. We're searching outside, and it only gets dimmer and dimmer when you go out there. It's nothing but a gas giant, a big hollow bubble. And the further out you go, the further away from the light, it get dimmer or dumber. We got to go toward the center and go back inside of the self, and that's where the light is and the answers are. Our science leading us into the darkness with an outer approach to understanding instead of an inner approach, which is what syncretism and sacred geometry does. Sumeru, let's deal with the word Meru. That's the word Mary. Mary is the same God called Amma to the Dogon. What is Mary showing us? Can y'all tell me that? Anybody? Nope, you can't, because it's just me doing the show. But it is what I told you earlier. If you look at Mary, she's the Statue of Liberty with all the spikes. So I told you I was going to talk about the great whore of Babylon. Why is she called a whore? Because every single soul living had to go in and out of her. That's why she's called a whore. She's represent a portal in the middle of the earth. All right, let me show you. They turned this black stone, this Ben stone, into a man. But this black stone, Rupes nigra, that's the Virgin Mary. She's the black stone that's given birth to the universe. I just showed it to you, the Big Bang explosion. This is personifying, this is what the Virgin Mary is personifying. The womb of darkness that all of the light come from. This is what the Virgin Mary is persona. Nothing impregnated that darkness. It was just potential. That is, and it just infinite potential. Mary is personifying the source of creation, which is a womb. They worshiping this as a black stone in the Middle East. The light of our holographic simulation was born out of a black hole. And this black hole represents a point where energy is transforming from a higher level to a lower level, where the spiritual realm is entering the physical realm. This black stone, even the map maker Mercator got it right here. This is where all of creation is born from. This stone. This is called Mecca, but you know what? The C's should be pronounced with an S, like mace. So if you say Mecca, guess what you're really saying? Messiah. What is a Messiah? The root word of Messiah, but what is a Messiah? A Mesa is a Babel Tower or a pyramid, right? Without a capstone. You see it? You see it? A Mesa is a Babel Tower. These are Messas. And Mecca is a mesa block. You see it? These mesas all over the world was used as lunch points at a point, just like the temples and mosques, to beam you up out of the earth. Just like Mecca is saying that this cube's supposed to be like the Ben stone to beam you up, you know, Scotty. 0 degrees. This is where they saying it's the North Pole area, right? Okay, so think about this. The word Mecca is the word Mesa. And if you look at the Mesa and we go to some of these collages, you will see all of these are just mesas. And all of these mesas that we see are uncapped pyramids. All of these mesas, right? We don't know if these are some sort of old form of technology. We think they're natural patterns. We can't prove it. Is that a natural pattern? Look, that looked like a mesa. If it weren't for them upper layers, y'all would say, oh, that's natural. But see, the angle's too sharp. But you see, we're going to go over all these collages, y'all. We got time. You know how long it was going to be. You in class today. So Mesa is Mecca. Etymology is just my thing, because look at how many doors it opened when we say Mecca, you see? Now check that out. So we see now that I'm on point here. This black stone is what's giving birth to, you know why everybody wearing white? Let me show you some. They are representing the sperm cell that got sucked in a black hole. Your mama's egg on a spiritual level, it's a stargate. And each of them sperms is a shattered part of your consciousness from on high. When we fell as from on high, we shattered into many versions of ourselves. It's called shatter point theory. Nothing can fall without breaking. Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall and he broke into a bunch of pieces. That's our story and how we get to be in these chakra layers and these different simulations. So all of the people pointing their energy and toward the ball is what the sperm is showing you, right? And the word Mecca is also when you use it, Arabic dialect to say maker. I told you this is the creator of all things. This is Mary. She gave birth to it all. Look. Dialect. That's why they want to get rid of Ebonics. Real talk. Ebonics is this junk DNA waking up that's allowing us to decipher the BS. Because if you just pronounce stuff with the dialect, you can break the English spell curse. Our dialect make us not read these foreign words the right way because we still reading them with an English dialect. But if somebody from Arabic, they would say, yeah, I go to Mecca. I go to Mecca. They're saying that they're going to the creator, man. They saying they going on a spiritual ritual journey to meet the maker. The one that made it all, the maker. Because Mecca is personifying the creator or the Mecca, the maker. Just like when you say Yamaka, you're saying your maker. Because that yarmulke on your head represent the thing that is making you or projecting you into the simulation, and that's the pineal gland. You see, the yarmulke ain't no different than the tefillin. And the tefillin is another form of this cube. But that's your maker, yarmulke. So when Jack is coming out of the box, that's because he getting beamed from the physical plane up here onto the spiritual plane, which is a whole nother city, and it goes up and up and up. It's an elevator system, if you will. And everybody can't fit in the elevator at the same time. What we seeing here at Mecca is what's going on a spiritual level at the North Pole. Souls are waiting for their turn to be beamed up, because it's like a line, like we saw in that movie Soul. And when it's your turn to enter the elevator, you graduate and get beamed up out of here with your group in groups. And these groups you find are familiar people that's been journeying with you for a long time. So the reason, again, let me go to this to show you what's going on at that North Pole, this beaming point that I'm making here. So that I don't use a lot of time, let's just pull it up here. This is what these Ziggurats mean on a spiritual level. This is what the Ziggurats was about. So what'll happen is, on a physical plane, you would take your journey up these steps, and once you entered this temple here, you will leave the earth. Your spirit or your mind will beam up out your body, and you will go to this kingdom in the sky. We had a connection system between earth and heaven at one point, but we lost the technology, which is why I'm showing you now. This is an elevator system. So the black cube in Mecca is really this same black cube that you see on the top of all the Ziggurats and Step Pyramids, okay? So when we see what's going on in Mecca, everybody waiting their turn to get beamed up. So when we get out of our body and we journey back to the North Pole, you're gonna be in a line of many people that just died. And y'all probably be talking about, you know, how you died, I can imagine, and, you know, reflecting. And that whole trip, you're gonna be reflecting about your life and all that while you wait in line. You won't waste the time. And when it's your turn to get beamed up, boom, it'll be your group right there, just like I just showed the last people. It's a little pit right there what allow you to enter this thing. All right? And you enter it in groups like I was just showing on the last picture. But I don't know what happened to that picture. So, but you saw it. All right? So let's go ahead and, just like the movie Soul, ain't that something? And then right there, if you zoom out of this thing too, we're gonna tie this whole concept into, let me show you something that's gonna be exciting for you. Hold on. Man. See, look. The Olmec, this is in a museum now, but they got this from the Olmec sites. And the Olmecs called this the earth monster. The Mayans did too, they got it too. But the earth monster, they turned it into Sarlacc. Now, what we're gonna do right now, we see that the earth monster is this black cube. You see it's the plus sign. Look at his mouth. Why did they make his mouth like a plus sign? Why did they do that? Why did they do it? Because at the middle of our earth is where all of these four corners collide. You see the four? And then we are reborn again. That's why it's a plus sign, because it represents rebirth, medical. That plus sign is the swastika. They trying to ban it. It's spinning around. When you take the plus sign and spin it, you get the swastika because you start bending the legs on it with the centrifugal force or whatever. That's the original ninja star, which is why when I talk to you why the word samurai sound like the word Sumeru. Samurai, Sumeru, we gonna get into it. We gonna get into it. We gonna get into it, baby. You gonna get your money's worth, let's go. Y'all gonna be like, hey, yeah, we gonna have something to talk about. Check this out, y'all. Check this out. Let's talk about this collage I just showed you, because guess what? I don't want to show you nothing this deep and not touch on it a minute. Star Wars recreated the Earth monster, Satan or Gab, which became Christ. Why do Christ got the symbol of a cross, y'all? Christ ain't nothing but another version of Gab. I'm going to do a whole free stream on that one on my channel. That's going to be free. But check this out, right? Here go your Christ symbol is a serpent. Why? The earth monster is a serpent. They call this thing Sarlacc. Dante called it the Inferno. But let's do some etymology so I can blow you away. Watch this. Sarlacc. Let's do the etymology of Sarlacc. Hold on. Why won't it take me? There we go. Take me to the etymology site. Let's do it. You got to break it into two words, sar and lac. So what does the word sar mean? Sar means a sore. Now let's look at sarlacc. Don't sarlacc look like a filthy sore on your skin? You see, I'm a beast with the etymology. I told you, Indiana Jones. Now look, the black, I'm finna break down a lot, because what I'm giving you right now is the spiritual system of the Sumerians. You will not know what the Ziggurats are all about if we don't do this. And this was a key part of Sumerian spirituality. This what's happening at the Som area. You got souls that's going down into the inferno and souls that's walking the stairway to heaven up. And I'm finna get deep into that, but just let me do some etymology. Let's go. The name Sarlacc is dealing with the word sar, which is a sore. And a sore is a bodily pain or injury. It's a wound or sickness. And guess what? A state of pain or suffering. Did you know that? So that's why Dante called it an inferno, a place of suffering. And they call it Sarlacc. Now let's look up lac. Guess what lac is? A latch, like a door latch. Look, a lace, a fastening. To tie you down with laces and ties. Look at that. So that mean to tie you down to pain and suffering. Sarlacc. That's the earth realm, the simulation. We must rise above it. Sar is a state of pain and suffering. Lac is to tie you down, to interlace, to fasten you with it. They're telling us stuff right in our face. Look at that. Star Wars, Sarlacc. Same thing Dante saying about the Inferno. Now, this black hole in the middle of our earth can either beam you up or it can swallow you down. This monster will spit you out if you speaking up and telling the truth. If you making noise like what I'm making, you like a virus inside of this monster. He got to spit you out like Jonah. See, the concept of Jonah getting spit out the well is a soul that's getting spit out of this earth monster that we in. We're inside of the belly of the beast. And right here you see a Hindu Naga coming up out the world, W-H-I-R-L, whirlwind. He was a Tasmanian devil trapped in a whirlwind. You see? And that's where you get this thing from. So when we born into the underworld, and in this world, it's pain and suffering. Why? We're in the reflected realm. They call it the upside down, because it's a false form of yourself. It's fronting, man. Check it out. It's capping. We're in this, the Hindu call it where we at right here, down here in this bottom part. That's the reflected realm. The Hindus call these the lokas, and the word loka mean a lock. I just read it, that sarlacc. The word lac is lock. Sarlacc, to tie you down, lock. See, to fasten with a lock. You see, and they said we're inside of lokas. And in order for us to make it out of these, guess what? Alignment. This is your spinal cord and your chakra system. This is enlightenment. rising up the central nervous system. And when you get all of these versions of yourself in all of these different worlds in alignment with each other, this whole thing gonna open up and you're gonna be up out of here. You exist in a false realm, and the base reality is the real building up here. And by the way, I'm about to talk about this building. This is from the Sumerian culture as well. This is the original form of the Babel Tower story, okay? This story of Babel was being told all over the earth, even in Egyptian, with the Step Pyramid. It ain't exclusive to no one culture, because this is literature that was part of a worldwide order on the earth of advanced civilizations, ancient advanced civilizations. You show me any old advanced civilization, Mayan, Egyptian, and I'll show you the same symbols, because it was a one world order. Now check this out. The black hole at the middle of our earth, see, here's what's going on. Look at this camera lens. That's when you talk about the black hole sun. Okay, if I mention something, I gotta show it. That's the rule. So there you go. The black hole sun, top left, and compare that to a camera lens. They said life is photosynthesis. Guess what this is? This is called this is from Sumerian culture. I got my notes written down for what it's called, a Samsara bowl. But what history want to do, they want to say that the Sumerians and the Samaritans and the Sumerians are different people when they all the same. Sumerian culture and samurai culture, the good Samaritan in the Bible, the Sumerian, all them the same. All of them was part of one earthly culture, what was a galactic federation. Now, guess what we about to do right now? We about to talk about these Sumerian Ziggurats on another level, but let me show you some what's happening at the middle of the earth. Like this camera lens. This black hole in the middle represent what you can fall into to go into damnation. That right there will lead you back to an eyeball behind the other side, which is another you in another simulation. See, the symbol of the Illuminati is like you holding a camera. But see, you can either go down into the darkness or you can be that light. That light, when they snap the shot, is the real self. The camera is technology. That ain't real. The one holding that shit is an avatar. He ain't real. But for our light to be free from this realm, we literally got to take a selfie. We got to press that thing down, boom, and eject the light. The camera flash is your light leaving the simulation out of this whole lens, freed back to the elements. You get it? That's what I'm saying. We're a discharge of light. We ain't the physical technology. You're not the camera. You're the light. Now, the word camera is the word Sumeru. What are you talking about, Brother Sanchez? Let's go to the whiteboard, man. I ain't playing. Watch this. Remember that the word Psalm is the word Sam. That's why I did the etymology with you earlier. So when we talk about Sumerian culture or Sumerian culture, all of it the same. And the C can be a S, like cinematics, ceiling. So the word camera would be Samara or Sumeru, Samurai, Samara, Chimera. You see there? You can't say America without the word. The word camera is even in the word American, right? I can take the word camera and make it American. You know, you see where I'm going there. You start to see where all of these little terms arrive from, like the name Umar. Coming from Sumer. Schumer. So we finna show you the god Shu, how he's involved in this and all that stuff. So, but let's go deeper with this. So now let's go to what we gotta do now. Let me take all of this off for 1 second. So we know that the Virgin Mary is personifying this womb called Sarlacc. She's a Pussy. She's a dark womb that gave birth to the universe. And that's what we're talking about right here. This dark place in the middle where you can go up or down, because they call it the Dark Tower. The Dark Tower. And this Dark Tower, like an elevator, can take you up to heaven or down to hell. All right? So when you look at Sarlacc, each of these tentacles are like the ley lines on the AE map. Think about it, right? If you got a bunch of these worlds stacked on top of each other. All of them are being projected with magnetic ley lines. And those are like the branches of a tree. But creation is like the leaves on a tree to fill in all the spaces on these little skinny branches. So our whole reality is like a big tree, and these lines are the roots. So when we open this up, you can see the tentacles of Sarlacc. If we were to take these tentacles and expand them across and make the whole thing, you'll see what they're doing. Each one of these infernos is a different world, just like this one stacked on each other. This is the Tower of Babel. And each one is skeeting its own ley lines into the center, like a 360-degree waterfall, or like water pipes, right? A water show, and all of the pipes around the side are skeeting inward, making this beautiful pattern here of water, if you want to look at it that way. That's how you can look at this Sarlacc thing. Bunch of AE maps stacked, all right? And you can go up or down, because we're teleporting basically as life and death, incarnation. You die in one of them, and you either move up to the next one born in that one, or born down, and we going up or down this thing. So that concept of being born in and out of these different worlds, that ain't really the word born, it's conceived, which is what Virgin Mary represent, an immaculate conception, not an immaculate birth. She don't represent your birth. Your earthly mama represents your birth. The light of your conception was allowed to enter this realm through a black hole, and that's what they're calling the Virgin Mary, this black stone, or this Ben stone. Because now we're going to talk about the name of the holy mountain in Sumerian culture. Did you know that the Sumerians had a holy mountain? That's Mount Meru. We finna break it down. That's why they call themselves Sumeru. Sumeru. Let's talk about the Sumerian holy mountain. Now, what we find when we research is that all of the Sumerian holy mountains were considered ziggurats, and a ziggurat means a mountain house. Sorry, excuse me. I'm only human. But check this out. This is finna get very deep now. Check this out. The word ziggurat means mountain house. Mountain house. Okay? And at this time now, I want to show you what they talking about. There go your mountain house. I've been showing you that the whole show. Our base reality, which is at that summit point. So the word ziggurat means mountain house. Why is this important? I can show you this same mountain house all over the world. I just showed it to y'all but I don't think y'all really paid no attention to it. Let's go back and do it again. You see that temple at the top of the pyramid? That's literally what the ziggurat is. That's the Tefillin. You see that? Let me show you something about the Jews. What is that on top of his head? That's the Ben stone or the ziggurat. Let's look at it. They worshiping it in Mecca. That's your maker. That represent this black hole that's projecting our light. But check this out. Look at it up here at the top. You see it? The black stone at the top. You're going to pop up out of this thing and look like Jack in the Box when you leave this world, man. You get what I'm telling you? I should be making the hairs on your skin stand up. This box represents our lightsaber to the heavens. You see that? The beanstalk is the beanstalk, the Jedi pillar. We're going to talk about that later. I don't want to get you carried away, right? So we want to take this slow. That's why we got time. The Olmec showing you what I'm showing you here. When you leave the simulation, the grand version of yourself going to be born in the base reality. All right. Now, I got a lot to go over, so I need to really, we doing good. So check this out. Just like when the guru go to the top of this temple, they go in there, they meditate, and they're beamed up out of here. I just showed you that. The beam that's coming from here. That's the electricity coming from the ball, the antenna, leaving the earth realm. You exit here as an electric signal. And when that electric signal come back into your body, then it's like you waking up from a dream and telling us about it. These temples was used to get you out of your body. And the lightning that's coming from the ball, they turned that into George Washington with the lightning rod and a bunch of myth with him. But check this out. Here go the Tefillin right here. And we got to point that out. We see this everywhere. These are ziggurats. Now I want to school everybody on what the ziggurat is, because your last incarnation, you're going to pop up out the box. You ain't popped out the box yet. We still in the box. We don't know what level we on. So watch this, right? In our highest heaven, you exist as an unopened box. It's like a bunch of unopened boxes like Christmas. And above them is this tree of life. Now check this out. Each of these boxes is a soul waiting to bust up out of the simulation. So this pattern is showing you your spinal cord and central nervous system is your own Babel Tower. You're in your own universe. Each one of us is our own universe. Let me show you. And there are several forms of this where you got to jump from this one to the next one. You got 7 central nervous systems, or the CNS, sins, 7 deadly sins. You got 7 of them. And your consciousness got to hop through each one of these little brain and spinal cord simulations, or what we call the central nervous system. Is also on a physical level, it is called the endocrine system. And if we talk about the endocrine system, well, let's just show you how the endocrine system relates to the 7 chakras, you see? See, each of these physical organs is a spiritual vortex. That's what this collage shows. As above, so below. It shows as above, so below. All right? So the 7 deadly sins, eating, sleep, each one is centered around a particular vortex point, which is an earthly organ that you got to conquer. You cannot enjoy none of these earthly pleasures more than heavenly and spiritual wisdom. If you want to make it out, you got to rise to that point of maturity. Until then, you would exist in Babylon, which is baby land. This is the land of gods that ain't activated their God power yet. Let me do a tech check. I got to do one now. Relates to the 7 chakras, you see? See? Yeah, so we good. Yeah, so, you know, you get my point here, and I want to tie this in to what I'm saying here. All of this is symbolism of the central, how we got to rise up through the 7 spines, the 7 skulls that you are 7 netters, 7 yous that exist in 7 worlds, and you're just in one of those central nervous system simulations now in one world, right? So you know, and then when we get to the last one, we literally leave the entire simulation, which is we pop out the box finally. And this would be Jesus coming out of his tomb. You know how they said Jesus on top of Mount Calvary, and then they opened up the tomb, and he came out of his tomb as a light body or a different refined body made of light. That's because this top room up here is the beam room. When you go in this room, it strips off the physical body, and the spiritual you is what emerges out of this room. And that spiritual you won't be seen to nobody on a physical spectrum. You will be crossing over to another side of other people who are in that temple. All of y'all sleep, but you experiencing another reality in the astral realm, a higher one. And in that realm, you will be at this same site, but another dimension of it, a higher realm, and you can keep projecting yourself up and down like an elevator system. Or you can get out and say, hey, man, I got some business to do in this universe, and then you can walk out of this temple, but you won't be in the same world, though. You have been it shoot you up a level, or it take you down a level. But when you get to that alternate universe, it's going to be this same beam point. It's going to be another version of this temple in that universe. These temples around the world, y'all, are what stand the test of time through all of the resets. I don't care how many times that this world get reset, none of these little temples and monuments will be destroyed because spirits will be trapped. And even the people that we fight against, they need to be able to access all of the shelves and floor levels too. So neither team want to destroy these systems, if you ask me, unless they can make new ones. So when they start dismantling these, it's because now they talking about replacing it, right? But in order for you to travel through time, the same time traveling machines you exist in one point of time, you got to rebuild it. In other words, the time machine would be the thing that we see throughout all ages. Because for us to travel throughout time, the technology we using to do it with, we would see it as symbols that connect all of the times. Because that meant that in the Sumerian time, they achieved time travel. In Egyptian time, they achieve it. So everybody, no matter what time or age you live in, make this same tower to the sky. Because we realize the truth that there's a way out of this world, but we got to get out the body. See? And this technology will be throughout all universes and all times. What's the most consistent door in a building? An elevator, y'all. Think about what I'm telling you. A building can have 100 floors, and each floor can be painted a different color with different color doors. But that one elevator shaft and that one elevator that connect all of the floors is only gonna be one color. It's just a little black box or whatever color you paint. You get what I'm saying? The most consistent thing, because each of these shelves represent a point in time, traveling up and down, back and forth into time. And when you get up out of this thing, time don't even exist when Jack pop out the box. Time don't exist because you become a traveler of time. Time don't exist as something that you're bound to. It exists as a couple of dimensions that you can go in and out whenever you please. And that's the story of God. God is a time traveler, but you got to activate that part of yourself, and that's what's going on through these incarnations. So when we see images like this, we see these same stories in the Sumerian culture of a guy leaving the simulation, the head popping out the box, raising your head above the water. Look at this one. Leaving the tower, coming up out of there. I'm free now. You know, coming up. And this is what it is. The word Buddha is the word body. Buddha is personifying your body. And he's set under the Bodhi tree. The Bodhi tree is the body tree, which is what the Pharaoh's showing you. His tree is a body. The tree of life, your spinal cord, the central nervous system.